Hi, I'm Terry Brock with terrybrock.com. Relationship marketing is very important, and one of the best ways you can really maintain relationships is by being with people. Now, I love video. I love using video, but sometimes being there in person, shaking someone's hand, being right there is really the best way to do it. And today, I've got with us a guest who's an expert on that. She is a person that has worked for over 30 years in corporate travel. Her name is Carol Margolis, and she joins us from her offices in Central Florida. Carol, good to have you with us today.
Hey, good morning, Terry.
Well, you have helped a lot of people. I know you help a lot of individuals, you help a lot of corporations, and you've got a site called Smart Women Travelers, and that's the name of it, right? Smart Women Travelers?
Yes, I created that to help women like me, corporate women who were traveling. And then I found the guys had the same issues. So I actually have a second business travel success, that helps you too.
Business travel success is good. Matter of fact, I remember when I first saw it, I was talking to my partner, Gina, and I was reading your material and thought, this is really good. This is not just for women. This is good for everybody. And I particularly like that. Well, tell us a little bit about your background and the importance, how travel is different today than it was even just a few years ago.
Oh, gosh. You know what? I started as a consultant when I was like 26 years old, and my babies were 1 and 3. And here I am thinking, oh, life on the road, that's going to be cool. And off I went armed with my double heavy suitcase. There was my suitcase was massive back then. I carried my own hair dryer, curling iron, coffee pot, the works, because hotels didn't have all this. And my only way to call my kids was with my AT&T calling card. Do you remember those?
Oh, I remember those very well. When we had the calling cards, we had to do this. And it was sometimes on those black phones with the rotary dials also. I remember some of those.
Oh, yeah, those old hotel phones. That's what I would sit on my bed every night calling my kids for my allowable 15-minute call home. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a bit different today. Well, what do you see different today, and what are some of the most important areas that we need to be aware of in travel today?
I think, what's different today is how fast everything is changing. We want the rewards of our travel. We want our miles and our points in that, but the rules are changing like by the day. So it's hard to keep up with all of that. The technology is changing so fast. Look at what we're on today that didn't exist a few years ago.
Yeah.
And the apps on our phone, what are the smart apps to have? What do you have? What do I have? What do we use at the airport, at the hotel? It's just mind-boggling how fast everything is changing.
Yeah, it can sometimes look a little bit overwhelming, and yet when it's done right, I think it's great that I can, hey, I'll get my little smartphone here. When I have my smartphone with me, I can pull it up for the airline that I'm flying. Most airlines have their own apps. We can find out what we need, et cetera. And as far as like the frequent flyer miles, those are still good, but I've heard many seasoned travelers, like you and I are both professional speakers, so we know a lot of professional speakers that say they're not as tuned into the particular affinity program, the frequent flyer program of any given airline, because they don't seem to mean as much now as they did before. You get all these miles and they go, oh no, you can't use them on those days because you want to. You have to do it some other time. Or now you need not this many, but you need this many miles. Notice my hands are off the screen. What's your professional opinion? Because you're dealing with this regularly. Are frequent flyer programs worthwhile today?
I definitely think they're worthwhile versus the alternative of not collecting miles at all. So it helps with the status. I get upgraded a heck of a lot because of the status I have with the airlines, because I am devoted to 1 or 2 airlines. That makes a huge difference when I'm up at the front of the plane versus the back. And I'm also, I shop ahead. We take our kids on a holiday every couple of years. Yes, it costs more miles, but they have seen places around the planet that I never would have had the opportunity to share with them had I not have the miles. The hotel points are great, but not only do I collect them from the airlines and hotels, I also collect the miles and points from my credit cards, my American Express and my Chase account that can be used no matter what the airline or what the hotel.
Yeah, it seems like very important to do strategic traveling, and that's something I know you teach a lot. Well, now, one of the things that I heard, I got to share this with those that are listening. Carol is magnificent because there was a person in our group we're part of the Central Florida chapter of the National Speakers Association who was talking about an incident where she had left her license behind and was going, "Oh my goodness, I'm here at the airport. I forgot my license." And you were able to give her some information. You were able to help on what we can do. So I'm going to ask you and put you on the spot here, Carol. You've helped a lot of people with this. Let's suppose, hypothetically, we're at the airport and we realize, oh my goodness, I ran off and I left my passport, my government issued ID, whether a driver's license or whatever, back home. And I'm thinking, oh no, what am I going to do? I'm in trouble. You say there's a way out of this. What can we do in that situation?
There is. And you use the word hypothetical. I cannot tell you how many times this happens to people where they either leave their ID at home or they lose it. They lose it a lot. You know how fast we try to run through security, right? I mean, we just like try to undress, redress, get everything back in our bag, and that's when you tend to lose your license. And so I asked some TSA agents, what do you do if you don't have it? They gave me a laundry list of ways that we can get through to TSA, spell it out. And, just by having your name on a subscription to a magazine with you, a piece of mail with you, a Costco or Sam's Club card that has your photo on it, things that terrorists normally wouldn't have with them, lets you get through that security line. And the really neat trick is when you go up to them and you say, I don't have my license, they take you to the front of the line, because they'll pat you down, but you get to the front of the line. So, sometimes it's not a bad idea to forget that license now and then.
Oh, well, now that's an interesting thing to say, but I like what you're saying. To me, it seems like, now correct me if I'm wrong, it might not be a bad thing to do. If you've got your regular carry-on cart, your roller cart, I use regularly. I know that when I'm flying most of the time, I can't think of a time I wouldn't use my roller cart. Yeah. I've got a little carry-on bag as well. Maybe to just put an envelope in there of a phone bill or a power bill or a magazine that I get, along with my, make sure I'm carrying my Costco card or BJ's or Sam's Club or something like that, right?
Right. The other thing is, many of us speakers are also authors, and we often carry our book with us. So if I pull out my book and I just, show them, this is me and my name, they're like, oh, okay, go on through.
Okay. That's another good. So you're talking about credible materials that you would have that would have your picture in a professional way. It would have something that is credible so that they realize, okay, you didn't just go out back and do this yesterday to try to pretend you are somebody.
Right. So it don't worry. And even if your driver's license is expired, you can still use it through security in the U.S. for up to a year after it expired.
I did not know that. Okay. I've made it a point to usually try to carry my passport, just that you never know what might happen when I think, oh, an opportunity came up here. And even though I didn't plan on doing it, I might be able to bounce over to Europe or Asia or Canada or whatever. Is that a good idea or anything that we should be concerned about with that?
I also, by the way, have my passport with me at all times. I have a brand new one. It's hard as all get out. I had to get a new one, so I feel like a new traveler right now. I always carry it with me, but I also take a photo of the main page with my photo and the passport number on it. I just snap a photo in my mobile phone with it, because when I'm on an airplane and need to fill out that customs form, I don't want to risk losing my passport. So I just look at the photo of it instead. A lot safer. And if I do lose my passport, at least the photo has my number on it.
Are there any security issues with that, given you've taken a picture and it ends up online, that bad guys could get hold of your passport number?
They can probably get my credit card numbers, my bank accounts, my passport. I try to keep it in a Word document that's password protected, and try to put as many precautions on my phone as I can, with a password, etc. Try to keep it as safe as I can.
Okay, makes sense. Now, another time when we talk about safety, that's one of the areas where you are a literal and world expert. You've been in the New York Times, USA Today, you've been in the Los Angeles Times. They come to you, a Wall Street Journal, and you've been in there. They come to you saying how to do it. And I know one of the areas that you help people in a lot, particularly women, but also the same things would apply to
Right.
men, safety when you're in the hotel room. Bad
Yes.
things can happen there, and there's certain steps we can take. I know you have seminars where you give a whole array of different kinds of precautions, but I'm going to reach through the screen there and twist your arm just a little bit and see if you could share with us maybe one or two tips that are extraordinarily important for that person who's traveling in the hotel room and they want to make sure they're safe.
Yeah, number one, when you walk into that hotel room the first time, women's inclination is to put that deadbolt on right away. I don't do it right away. I go into the room, close the door, look around, check the bathroom, the shower, the closet, maybe behind the drapes, make sure nobody's in that room. And I've learned this from a lot of flight attendants, so I listen to the experts. Then when I know the room is all clear, then I put the deadbolt on. Because if that deadbolt's on and there is somebody in the room, it's hard to make a fast exit. So that's like a safety thing that women should look at. A lot of them, after the Aaron Andrews lawsuit, with the hotel peephole, a lot of women put like a little piece of Kleenex in that peephole so that nobody can be looking in if it was reversed. But really, the more practical hotel safety thing for all of us is the number of items we leave behind in a hotel room. Our power cords, our credit cards, our driver's license, our iPads. And so I have a travel checklist when I leave home, but more importantly, I have a travel checklist at the hotel when I'm packing back up again, because those are the things I don't want to forget. And, you put things in the hotel safe. How do you remember them? I put my shoe that I'm going to wear the day I check out, in the safe with my passport, my money, whatever, because I'll never forget that shoe.
That is a great idea. Put the shoe in there. You're not going to forget your shoe. And that's an automatic way to remember, oh, yeah, be sure and go over here and get all that stuff out of the safe or wherever it might be.
Yes, yes, yes. And for all of us, too, get a hotel business card. Because you may hop in a cab to go to dinner, and then you say, take me back to the Marriott. And they're like, which one? And you're like, I don't know. And especially important when you're in an international country, it'll have the hotel name and address in their language also. So always get hotel business cards.
Ah, yeah, makes sense. And, but a lot of times people will talk about smartphones. I remember years ago, people would say, oh, I just want a phone that'll call and make phone calls. I don't need all that other stuff. And yet having a camera can be extraordinarily helpful in many cases. Where do you see having just the camera on your smartphone so that when you're out on the road, you're getting pictures of things that are unique to that particular visit, to that hotel or to this? Where would that be a particular help in your opinion?
I use the camera a lot. I use it to take a photo of my hotel room number, because you know how the hotels give you that little folder with the room number on it. Well, if you lose that, now somebody's got access to your room number and your key card. So I throw that away. I just take a photo of my room number. So that's how I remember my number.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I take photos of my hotel room when I take photos of my hotel room when I check in, because you know how many stories we can collect in our travels. And maybe I'll take photos of a unique aspect of that hotel that when I do a review on TripAdvisor, I can post those photos. But really more important on a safety aspect, I take photos of my car rental before I leave that car rental lot, because I'm looking for any dings or anything, scratches. I want to know what that car looks like. And if they come back to me afterwards and say, there was a ding on the bumper that, is your fault. And I'm like, nope, here's my photos when I checked out that car. It wasn't there then. So
very nice. So photos can seem to be a real help. Are there any concerns, though, then once it's a photo, could bad guys, if they get a hold of your phone, then know your room number or other things like that?
The likelihood of them getting my room number from my phone is probably smaller than losing that hotel key card portfolio with the room number. And, I just tend to focus more on the positive. What are the little tips I can, do to keep myself safe? And I don't worry so much about all the negative things that could happen. I just try to invoke all of these little safety areas, and I feel more comfortable. And that seems to have worked for me really well over a lot of years.
Yeah. Excuse me. And you have done that in helping a lot of people with many different areas. I really have enjoyed looking at your material, reading your book. And I know people can get a lot of other good ideas when they get a chance to know you and bounce over to your website. So tell us, how can we get more information and get in touch with you if we want to go deeper and find out more, or someone might have a number of people that they report to or they're reporting to them and need help and training. You offer this now on how people can travel safely, save costs, and be safe. How do they get in touch with you to find out about that?
Yes, well, I'll show you my book again real quick. My book is Business Travel Success, and it's on Amazon as well as my websites. And my websites are smartwomentravelers.com as well as businesstravelsuccess.com. And if you take a look at the book, if you only read the foreword, it's worth it. And you can read that for free on Amazon, because the foreword was written by Jack Canfield, of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. Mm-hmm. And he talks about a story of what one passenger did in the gate area at the airport when a flight delay was announced. And you know how we all feel when that happens?
Oh, yeah.
And yet when you read this story, you're like, oh, if everyone had this attitude, it would change the entire travel experience for us to something positive.
Yeah, make a big difference on that. And that's the thing I love about what you do. You give us some practical ideas that really work in the real world. And for those of us that are traveling a lot, we can use that. And if you don't travel a lot, this would be even more important, because you don't have those items and those nuances that you pick up when you travel a lot anyway on your own. Knowing what Carol has said can be a very big help for you.
Yeah, and even, the top articles on my site are, what do you do if you get a jury duty notice and you've got a trip planned? And that could be any one of us, vacation or business, or, how do I surprise somebody with a trip? And one of my top radio spots I do is, what can you steal from a hotel room? It's very little, but yet it makes for great radio conversation on the crazy things people have stolen.
Oh my, well, you've got my attention there. What would be one of the things that you can steal, and I guess we can put that in air quotes, steal from the hotel room that would be all right?
Yeah, well, I kind of do have a big collection of hotel slippers at home. So if there's any guests that stay at my house, you get a nice little shampoo and soap basket in the bathroom and a nice pair of new slippers. So those things are okay to steal.
Okay.
Yeah. But stealing like a mattress is like not cool, and people have done that. And they even brought back in another one, like put their old one from their house on the bed, like nobody would notice.
Oh my. Well, I'm sure you've seen a lot of that, but your tips are very helpful and very practical. Now, Carol, we appreciate you being with us today, and look forward to seeing you again sometime in the future. And for those of you watching, this is very important, because traveling is an integral part of what we do in business. In relationship marketing, staying in touch with people via video is important, via phone, via text, but there's something special about that time when you're there with someone face to face, and that's where travel comes in, and you want to know those particular areas really well. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Terry Brock with terrybrock.com. I'll look forward to hearing from you.